Seems Elon Musk has a new foe in the crosshairs. The tech CEO threatened to sue the Anti-Defamation League after blaming the organization for an advertising revenue slump on X, formerly known as Twitter. Musk accused the ADL of, quote, trying to kill the platform by falsely accusing it and him of being anti-Semitic. He continued, to clear our platform's name on the matter of anti-Semitism, it looks like we have no choice but to file a defamation lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League. Oh, the irony. To be super clear, I'm pro-free speech, but against anti-Semitism of any kind. Our U.S. advertising revenue is still down 60%, primarily due to pressure on advertisers by the ADL. That's what advertisers tell us, so they almost succeeded in killing X Twitter.
Friend of the show, Batya Ungar-Sargon, reacted to the lawsuit news, tweeting, "So much for free speech. Apparently, it doesn't extend to an organization warning advertisers that Twitter is full of anti-Semites," which it is. Journalist Glenn Greenwald weighed in on the matter, writing, "One of the most toxic and repellent developments over the last decade is the aggressive but cynical weaponization of various strains of bigotry accusations for cheap partisan gain, to justify censorship, one's adversaries, and to coerce compliance. Few are more guilty than the ADL."
The Anti-Defamation League published a report in May that found over 5,000 examples of allegedly virulent anti-Semitism on Twitter after accounts were reinstated under Elon Musk. And an ADL spokesperson said in an emailed statement to Axios that the nonprofit doesn't comment on legal threats as a matter of policy, but had this to say on the platform status on X. ADL is unsurprised yet undeterred that anti-Semites, white supremacists, conspiracy theorists, and other trolls have launched a coordinated attack on our organization. This type of thing is nothing new.
Yeah, I think it is true what Glenn Greenwald has said. There have been many times when the ADL and its current leadership have been accused of weaponizing, I think accurately, weaponizing claims of anti-Semitism against political actors that they simply don't like because of their advocacy for Palestinian rights. We've seen that in a lot of the kerfuffles over various elected representatives on the left in Congress. But in this instance, it's interesting to see even people who themselves have been victims of ADL attacks speaking out, saying that this is an obviously bad faith attack against the ADL by Elon Musk. So you have someone like Mark Lamont Hill, who I believe was let go from his job on MSNBC
over anti-Semitism
because of charges exactly of anti-Semitism, saying that, quote, Elon Musk's attack on the ADL is dangerous, dishonest, and deeply anti-Semitic. He turned his platform into an unprofitable white supremacist cesspool. Instead of taking accountability, he has chosen to not so subtly scapegoat Jews, which invites violence from his Nazi base. On the other side of things, you know, Libs of TikTok has encouraged this lawsuit. People believe that the disclosures that will happen in the course of filing this lawsuit might really help Elon's case. Other people say, be careful what you wish for, as we've seen in the Fox News lawsuit case. All kinds of things that are disfavorable can come out in discovery. I don't know. What do you make of this?
Well, look, as a matter of law and policy, I'm not a big fan of frivolous lawsuits over speech. I would have to look more closely at exactly what Elon Musk is accusing the ADL of that he thinks is defamatory. But I would be very not inclined to agree with a lawsuit being merited in general. You know, we were on the different sides of the Dominion thing. I didn't really necessarily know that they should bring a lawsuit against that either. So in terms of bringing a lawsuit, I likely strongly disagree with Elon Musk here. That said, I do not put a lot of faith in, well, I mean, you were agreeing with this, so it's not counter what you're saying at all. But I've dug even deeper into the not just the Anti-Defamation League statements, but its published statistics about anti-Semitic hate crimes that are wildly misleading and are frequently mischaracterized in the media, even when their underlying study is not wrong. I remember writing about this. I just pulled this up. So this was all the way back in. So this was about their. This was in 2017 or 2018. It was about their 2016 report.
Okay, but the point is, this isn't about the quality of the requests. This is about the fact that they are not taking action on the request. By Elon Musk's own admission, they're not taking as much action on these requests because they think it's more free speechy. Great. But there are consequences.
No, it might not be just, it might not be because it's more free speechy. It's because these requests are not credible.
Fine, they're not credible. But the advertisers want him to take them down. So Elon Musk is living in a world.
Because the ADL tells them that.
Wait, what?
The advertisers are not like tracking the tweets. The ADL is the tweet tracking organization that they rely on.
No,
and we're saying the organization they rely on is a bad organization.
There are multiple tweet tracking organizations who have reported about an increased incidence in hate crimes. For example,
I just explained to you why they're wrong. Why they have a history of exaggerating it.
You've been talking about the ADL. There's been reporting of other groups that are not the ADL and not affiliated with the ADL who have pointed to an increase in hate crimes on the app. The
State Department? So these organizations, look, I'd have to look at it specifically, but these organizations do not deserve, a lot of them, obviously I have to look at specifically what the organization is, but some disinformation watchdog group that says, the Russian propaganda is all over the site and nothing's being done about that. That doesn't raise your eyebrows at this point?
You sitting here saying, well, everybody who comes up with any information must be the deep state.
How many times do they have to be discredited before we say that maybe advertisers shouldn't listen to them?
I don't know. I get a little tired of being waking up and seeing the N-word a million times a day on the internet. But hey, that's just my subjective view. Maybe everything's exactly the same as it always is. But Elon Musk has literally told us, that he's taking less action on things that used to be taken down. Yeah. It is perfectly fine to think that he's in the right. Fine. You think that all that stuff is free speech? Let it be on the app. But
that's
you don't.
Not what I'm saying. I'm not saying I think it's all free speech. I'm saying the people saying these things should be taken down have lost their credibility.
If you think, say it's me. Say it's someone censoring. The ADL would have said Brianna's not allowed to say free Palestine,
right.
And now Brianna is allowed
very
to
well could have been the case.
That's fine. But if the advertisers don't want me to say free Palestine and choose not to advertise on the app,
that is not the case. That is manifestly you are misrepresenting the case. The ADL is telling the advertiser that there's anti-Semitism, and what they mean is you saying free Palestine. So
I'm not talking about the ADL. I don't.
The advertiser doesn't. They don't care about if free Palestine, and they don't care one way. They care about humoring what the ADL tells them. They're not seeing the actual content. The organization is.
It was an analogy that I raised because you insisted that we're talking about stuff that is legitimate speech. So I made an analogy that is using an example that I obviously find to be legitimate speech because I'm saying it. But it's a crucial
point because the advertisers are not seeing
you keep moving the goalposts, Robbie. Make up your own analogy. The point is that whatever the information, no matter how legitimate, the point is that if the advertisers agree that it should not, that they don't get to sell their products as much, and it's not beneficial for them to be on the app if that stuff is being taken down. If some of what Elon Musk is leaving up is offensive to advertisers, then he is going to lose money. And that's not the ADL's fault. It's the advertiser's fault.
Welcome to another episode of Straight Outta Politics. Lots of interesting topics for today. We're getting right into it. The videos we played before we start the show was already on topic, talking about this issue about the ADL, along with Elon, along with social media censorship, kind of all wrapped into one. And that's what we're going to be diving into before our guest gets here. So we got about 45 minutes before our guest Chuck Modi arrives, and when he gets here, that's when we're going to cover the main story, which is the RICO charges in Cop City. Actually, let's put up the graphic and then talk about. Hang on a second here. The RICO charges in Cop City. Actually, okay. I now watch myself on TV to make sure everything is going okay. Because sometimes I'm not watching the notes, the comments. But anyway, here is the graphic right here, and I'll tell you what the topics are. So just from the graphic on the right side, we have Senator Raphael Warnock, we have Stacey Abrams, and we have the late, great activist that was killed protesting Cop City. He was an environmental activist, Manuel. So that's on the right side, represents the main story, Cop City's RICO charges. And then on the left is what we're going to be starting with, and that is Elon Musk, Twitter. I don't call it X. I still call it Twitter. I'm surprised that people still are starting to use X. I'm surprised, but hey, Twitter, and an interesting and a very, I would say, spot on take about the whole situation from Glenn Greenwald. And Glenn Greenwald's take covers some other topics. And one of the other topics is how the election of Donald Trump accelerated American censorship. So we'll briefly get into that. And another topic that Glenn Greenwald's video touches upon is how the Democratic Party uses advocacy groups to push reactionary policy. But first, we're going to start with the coordinated attempt to take out Twitter. The point being of the video, why I played this as an intro, is that you can see a little bit of friction in the conversation because there's a frustration that the other person is not understanding what the other person is meaning. So there's a little bit of frustration in that. But I thought the larger point that is initially supposed to be about the ADL and Elon is kind of about Twitter also. And the conversation about Twitter is a conversation that Nick, my RBN brother Nick, has described as you'll never get me not to believe that Elon Musk took over Twitter to drive it into the ground. And that's the point of this segment. It does feel like this is a dance. There's too much, in my opinion, there's too much like focus. There's too much focus and interest and put on Elon Musk owning Twitter and Twitter. It's too much for there not to be some other sort of thing happening, in my opinion. And he's playing a role. He's not some indefensible guy who's being attacked by the liberal establishment. He is part of the dance. He's part of the dance of taking down Twitter, and it looks like that could be what's going to be happening here. What else am I going to try to bring up here? Oh, let me see if I can find Nick's tweet. Elon Musk Twitter. Trying to see what other way I can socialist MMA. What other way I can search for this here? Oops, I didn't do it the right way. Socialist MMA, but let's try it. I'm searching right here in the background as you guys, everybody's there. Socialist MMA, and then let's do Elon Musk. Let's do Twitter. Never. Let me put the word never. I think never was in that tweet. Never. No, never trust a billionaire. Anyway, I tried to just bring it up just so I can show it. But anyway, couldn't find it. Let's dive into a little bit more of this conversation and how is expressed in how Brianna is expressing that she has maybe some anecdotal stories, or it happened to her where there's been slurs on Twitter. There's been sort of like an uptick of racism on Twitter. I personally haven't seen any of this. Twitter to me has been the same cesspool, the same level 4 years ago when I kind of got onto it, a little bit less than 4 years ago, to now. It's no difference. I don't see this thing that people see, but it just could be my timeline. But let's listen to a little more. Then we're going to get to the other topic here.
So, for example, not the ADL, a group called the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, a think tank that studies online platforms, found, according to the New York Times, that the lack of action extends to new accounts. The lack of action taken by Elon Musk as owner of Twitter extends to new accounts affiliated with terror groups that other Twitter.
So Elon Musk, the new owner, comes in, gets rid of all these people that would be, I guess, looking for racism. And explicitly says, as Brianna Joy Gray is pointing out, oh, and also, by the way, we're not going to be checking for A, B, and C. You see how, to me, he's part of the game. If what Nick's theory is true about Elon Musk being part of the this choreographed dance to take out Twitter.
and others that Twitter previously banned. In the first 12 days after Musk assumed control, 450 accounts associated with ISIS were created, up 69% from the previous 12 days. And on and on and on. We have reported on, it is not conjecture that when you go and you email.
For example, what she says here, how these accounts were established. How do we know this is not in a coordinated attempt in that? What if a government agency created these accounts, or some CIA-aligned agency created these accounts in order to participate in the dance that we're seeing here of this battle between liberal media and the liberal establishment and evil Elon? It's too Hollywood-like. It's so Hollywood-like, I should say. A little bit more, and then I want to get on to the Glenn Greenwald
issues with Twitter
video.
Now. You get a bounce back often of a poop emoji because so many people who used to be responding to those kind of requests were fired. That is the, belief. They have, and they're just going to have to deal with this. Twitter also has had very obvious public relations issues. In April, they mistakenly gave a gold check mark, which is supposed to signify a paying advertiser, to the @Disney Junior UK account, which Disney doesn't own. That account posted racial slurs, leading Disney officials to demand from Twitter an explanation and assurances that it wouldn't happen again. This is all reporting from 2 different articles in the New York Times about this. So we don't really have to speculate. There have been own goals repeatedly executed by Elon Musk himself, choosing to allow Kanye West to come back to the app. Frankly, a move that I kind of supported because I thought that banning him was not in line with his own stated Twitter policies, is going to have an effect on advertisers, because we have been talking on and on about this.
So to Brianna's point, and it's sort of making the point that I'm making about a coordinated attempt to take out Twitter, she's sort of saying he's making decisions that causes advertisers to leave. Why would an owner make decisions to cause advertisers to leave unless he's part of that coordinated attempt to take out Twitter? That's my point. So don't anybody cry any tears for Elon Musk here. In my opinion, this is the Washington Generals and the Harlem Globetrotters just doing a dance.
As being a free speech issue, when it in fact is not. At the end of the day, he bought a business that was worth $44 billion that is now worth half that, because 90% of Twitter revenue was about advertisers. So if you want to buy an app to make it an open free speech bastion, that's great. Maybe I, as a journalist, like and support that.
That's not the issue here. That's just not the issue. The advertisers can do whatever they want. If they don't want to advertise on Twitter, sorry, Elon Musk, you can't sue anybody to make them advertise. If they want, the platform is not the way they want it to be and they don't want to be involved with it, there's literally nothing you can do about that. But what I'm saying is the middleman here, the watchdogs, the trackers, there's not, again, I don't think they should be sued. I think they get to say false things and categorize people incorrectly and make lists of people and say all these people should be unpersoned and canceled even when because they're ISIS, even if they're just telling jokes or their satire accounts. They get to do that. But we also get to call them out, and people like us and like Glenn Greenwald and other dissident contrarian type people on the internet are increasingly onto their game that they should not be viewed.
So, and we're gonna stop it here. So Robbie has the classic libertarian take that whatever is whatever. People should be able to say whatever they want, including lies, and then people can report on whether their lies are truth, and people can figure out whether they're truth on their own. Which I lean towards. I lean towards having races on wherever they want to go. I lean towards races being on Twitter, for example. I lean towards all of, I'm not following those races to see what they're saying. So I don't see what they're saying, but I don't think they should be banned from Twitter's, just because, like I said, all of that swings back on yourself.